Hi guys, my name is Faith, but I also go by Imani, which means faith as well in Swahili, Iman as well in Arabic. I'm really nervous. My anxiety is in the highest level right now, so please bear with me if I stammer. I'm sorry in advance as well, guys. I'm shaking.
It's okay, girl.
Okay, you should let me talk, girl. Come on. Right, so this is my introduction to who Imani is. Imagination is my boat, and I'm the captain, but sometimes reality becomes the sea, and I don't control its waves. This is a piece I wrote. It's basically 5 chapters combined sort of together. It's like a personal kind of like memoir. It's called Sacrifice to My Mind. And I'm really nervous about reading this because it's pretty personal and it might get very like deep and sad for some people, so I'm sorry if I trigger emotions.
Bring it on.
Okay. Okay, let's go. I find myself to be a complicated person, but others may just find me to be heavily troubled. My thoughts go through a thorough process in my mind where everything is overanalyzed. This doesn't always serve me well. Especially when thoughts should be just thoughts and not what truly is. I tend to read meanings to everything about and around me, which makes me feel mechanical, if anything. It's scary how I am the only person that has true knowledge of myself and knows what my mind, my brain is capable of. But I find it safer that way. It was once again one of those nights where my body was on full alert with no intention of sleep. I had tried everything. But there was no amount of weed or alcohol that could deactivate my mind from the deep thoughts it so much wanted to be in. My mind had its own personality. It independently chose what subject to overthink on, and when it couldn't, it would mix everything together with the speed of light, as if frustrated. That's when things became so much darker than they already were, and the things that didn't matter as much mattered so much at that very moment. Perhaps some skincare would cheer me up, I thought to myself. So I walked up to the mirror, hanging on the wall, and locked eyes with my reflection, who stared at me with a nervous smile. The more I looked at her, the more my smile fell, and moisture gathered at the corner of my eyes. The person I see disgusts me. The unhappiness and defeat behind my eyes mock me. It is truly pathetic. The tears finally find their way down my cheeks, and I feel my body sliding down. My fingers start to shake as I pulled my hair out in frustration. I hated when my pain showed up on the outside, when my body displayed the chaos in my head. I felt the need to punish myself whenever something happened. It didn't matter if it was within my control or not. As my frustration with myself grew, so did my anger, and soon I couldn't stop my tightened fists meeting my scalp. Sometimes I felt like I didn't deserve to cry when I'm hurt. My mind says I'm weak. When I feel weak, my mind says I'm helpless. And when I feel helpless, I will hurt myself for feeling that way. I didn't need therapy to tell me my bittersweet relationship with my father was responsible for this psychotic behavior. As all I did was disappoint and anger him, I never learned the road to his heart. Every word that escaped my lips, every action with the most innocent intention had a consequence. The perfect love and hate relationship, but not the one you will find in a romantic novel by Jane Austen or Nicholas Sparks. Punch after punch, my screams filled the dark room. My throat hurts and I can barely hear myself breathe. My reflection stared at me blankly. Red eyes and swollen eyelids watched me as I whimpered, embracing my knees. My mind and I were enemies. She had full control and I had no chance in winning. It got worse when I moved to Ireland. Something about the sullen loneliness that took over my life changed the person I once was. Self-harm became my second name. It was as though the only way I could survive my mind was with physical pain. I wanted all the internal pain to be felt on the outside for a change. Before I knew it, scars were engraved on my skin. I was called a leopard in school, or the black girl with terrible skin. Nobody knew it was my way of coping with the chaos that had brought me so low and the deep hate I felt for myself. Thus, the hardest decision I ever made was to stop the drinking, the drugs, starving, and self-harming. Because the price I paid was my sanity. For my choice was a sacrifice, and my mind ensured to remind me of it daily, hoping I'll eventually regret and give in. So I learned to live with the desire of ending it all being more than the desire of living. But the madness, it scared me. The voices, they threatened me. They made me want to punish myself because I blamed me. I blamed me for every filthy hand that had forcefully touched my body with no consent. I blamed me for never being enough for anyone. I blamed me for not putting on an end to all the voices in my head telling me to press the sharp edge of that knife further into the skin on my neck. All the betrayals, bullying, rape and assault, threatening, disownment and abandonment had hurt my heart into a cold place with no access to no one but myself. The loudest person in the room suddenly became the person that only spoke when spoken to. My passion to sing and to tell my story died the day I left Athens at the age of 17. Was I prepared for the life that awaited me away from my parents? Or the cruelty the church hid beneath its altars that stripped me of my faith? But for what it was worth, it forced me to be my own therapy. This may sound inspiring to some, weird to others, and questioning to most. I continue to try and find the missing puzzles to my behavior and make peace with the way my mind chooses to function. I realized I couldn't continue to let myself drown. Even though I can't swim, I can float. And somehow that became the start of coming out of the darkness I was used to for the past 10 years of my life. Like a baby, I learned to love again and be kind with myself. I had become addicted to my own darkness that I couldn't see how much of an introvert it turned me into. I chose kindness and over violence with my body, and the heart of the little girl in me fluttered for the very first time since she was 12. I find myself to be a complicated person, but like I said, others may find me to be heavily troubled. I am certainly not an open book, regardless of what this is, but here's what I've gathered over the years. I am a weird breed made of dark sand from a mixture of ambiversion, coupled with a sprinkle of talent, chaos, and paranoia. I am a hopeless romantic with no ability to truly trust anyone, and an imperfect perfectionist with high ambitions and the lowest self-esteem. I have a straightforward heart that continuously gives and forgives, but never receives. My personality is a mixture of things that can't be contained in one sentence, and I have a self-destructive mind that I am learning to call a friend. But if I could describe myself in one word, it would be soulful. Thank you.